What up my lurkers and sexless virgins, and welcome to my new video series entitled Chan Reviews, where I review alt chans and image boards by looking at their history, community, and content. The first image board I will be talking about on this series is HEYURI, one of the better and more populated alt chans in recent memory. So without further ado, let's take a look at HEYURI, starting with its history. HEYURI, as an image board, was created on November 24th of 2019 by Lolico, a 16-year-old otaku interested in old internet culture. Of course, like any other alt-chan, this site was obscure and really slow. It wasn't until Kuz was brought in as a second admin when the site would garner a lot more attention, mostly due to Kuz's affiliations with the elusive Textboard 9 channel, and HEYURI would be propelled into its first golden age. Yet a couple months later, due to infighting between Lolico and Kuz, HEYURI would be taken down, and Kuz would create a successor site called Strawberry Heaven, which is generally considered to be the dark age of HEYURI, with it not being as populated as the original site. But eventually, Lolico and Kuz would make amends and bring the original HEYURI back. Since then, the site would continue to grow. Lolico would eventually leave the site due to his fighting with Kuz and Akima getting a hold of his docs, and soon after Kuz would also step down and appoint Kaguya as the new head admin, which is where things stand today. One of the reasons why I think HEYURI became as successful as it did is because it didn't have a bunch of stupid fucking useless boards. Board bloat is a pretty infamous issue when it comes to alt-chans, yet for some reason people still keep doing it. If you want to start your own image board, it's highly recommended that you have at most only 2 boards. The user base will be stretched too thin if you have something like 12 plus boards, yet only around 20 unique people visit your site. At that point the site will feel empty and nobody will want to post on it. HEYURI has about 8 or 9 boards, yet almost all of the boards feel unique and actually serve a purpose. Of course, the first board up is the B board, or off topic. It's the most populated board by far, and it's where HEYURI's best and worst content is hosted. I'm gonna talk about the actual content of the board more when I get to the part of the video where I talk about the site's culture. JP is the Japanese board, written entirely in Nihongo, and it's a 100% fact that all users of the board are English Japanophiles. Not really much else to say about it, just a lot of aspiring Japanese learners talking about all things Japan related, which of course, only consists of sex and anime. Like any other Owakaki board, this one is full of win in original content. Everything from fat tits to flat chests to whatever else the autistic denizens of HEYURI conjure up in their mentally deficient minds. A lot of the board is just Anons drawing anime women, but there's also a lot of talent and creativity and pieces of great OC. Not really much to say about its Q board. It's just where you talk about the site's content and suggestions for new features. Strange World is one of HEYURI's text boards, with it being, to my knowledge, one of the first attempts to bring Ayashi World into the English-speaking net. This board was also how I found out about HEYURI in the first place. I remember looking up some shit related to Ayashi World and finding this board. I thought it was really interesting, and I was surprised at how active the board was, considering its niche subject matter. Now, the way these old Japanese BBSs used to work is very different to what it is now. If instead of using a thread system, it's more like a really long conversation, with the newest post appearing on the top. It's generally laid back, with most users keeping their posts short and simple, yet the culture of SJIS art still runs true. A more traditional 2-channel style text board. Not much else to say about it. It's pretty active as far as text boards go. Now, these are all of the main boards, yet there are still 3 more things in the board header, which are CGI, Up, and Wiki. All of these act as sister sites to HEYURI, and I don't have an awful lot to say about them, so I'll just put them all in this one segment. The first one I would like to talk about is the recently added CGI.HEYURI. At the time of writing, it currently has 3 boards to its name, the first of which being the dating board chat thing. Kakanetsuba, which is the script that HEYURI runs on, has this feature built in, and the premise of the board is to get in a private chat with another user. The idea of a serious dating board on HEYURI is fucking rancid, so it's not really treated as one. It's more of a chat between 2 HEYURI users. The closest thing to actual dating would probably just be some lolly stepsis roleplay. The next CGI board is the voting board, where people can make their own polls and users can vote on them. This was actually moved from the main HEYURI site and added to CGI to try out a new script. The main difference between the old one and the new one is on the newer one you were required to explain why you picked the choice you did, which in my opinion makes it way more interesting and gives users a chance to be more creative. Pretty interesting and cool board all around. Lastly, for the CGI boards is the support BBS, which is just a place for suggestions and questions. The next site up is 2channel.sh, which is used for file sharing and nothing more. That's it. And lastly, there's the HEYURI Historical Society, which is used as HEYURI's own wiki. It's a pretty fucking great site if you want to learn more about HEYURI's history. Wikis are cool and this site is cool. Now, by showing all of HEYURI's boards, I hope it shows you just how different each one of them are. Instead of just having a video games or anime board, HEYURI instead opts for boards that radically change the content and discussions, whether it be a Owakaki, meta, or text board. Alright, now it's time to talk about the thing that actually matters, which is the culture and user base of the site. Probably the most defining part of HEYURI is its emphasis on old internet and image board culture, which is supported by the 8th rule of the site, which bans all Wojak, Pepe, green text stories, and all of the other things that plague image boards today. All of this was what drew me into the site, and while there are other image boards that have the same goal as HEYURI, none of them are nearly as active, because instead of bitching and moaning about how much better things used to be, HEYURI instead tries to make something new out of it and create new jokes and original content. And don't get me wrong, I actually really enjoy bitching and moaning about how modern modern chan culture sucks. The topic is just intrinsically interesting to me, but HEYURI's focus on original content is definitely its best attribute, with it probably having the highest frequency of OC I have ever seen on an image board, with new OC being rewarded with praise and views, which obviously promotes it more and encourages people to keep making shit. Now if you want something with a more something awful troll style of humor, then maybe another place like 7-Eleven chan might be more to your liking, because a huge proportion of HEYURI users are otakus. Anime is already a big part of image board culture, and HEYURI does have a more general chan sense of humor at times, but anime and old Japanese net culture are a big part of it. Another big part of it is lolly. There are a lot of lolicons in HEYURI. Now you're watching this video on Vidlii, so I doubt anything offends you at this point. You can watch US soldiers gun down an innocent Afghan family and you wouldn't even fucking flinch. So unless you get PTSD from looking at lolly hentai, then you will probably be fine. HEYURI is not a lolly site and there isn't a crazy amount of it, and you can still really enjoy the site without being a pedophile. But there are users who just like posting and sharing their lolly pics. There used to be a lolly board, but it was removed for whatever reason. I honestly think it would be a good idea if it was brought back. Not that I'm a pedo and I want a hub for all girls ages 8 to 15, but because it would give users a chance to post and share their lolly without shitting up B. But now, it's time to look at the site overall and see if HEYURI truly is the place to be. HEYURI is probably my favorite image board at the moment. The site's focus on old internet culture and original content made me fall in love with the site when I first saw it. Not to mention that it's really well populated and has a lot of users contributing and making cool ass shit. So with that, I give HEYURI 4.5 green stars out of 5. If this site had a place for people to shitpost their lolly, it would probably be a 5. But hey, a 4.5 is pretty much perfect, so don't complain that much. And that concludes our first episode of Chan Reviews. Type in the comments which alt chans you would like to see me review next. And until next time, keep fucking your sisters and hanging those niggers.